Hey everybody, thanks for watching. And just a quick reminder that Soul Purpose, the agenda, and the strategy are now available. Make sure you guys check those out. I know a lot of you guys had trouble getting these videos. It's an issue that I'm not sure what's going on with, but they always seem to block what I put out, or there's always an issue. So I know a lot of you haven't been seeing the YouTube videos since they cut me off, but I'm uploading on both channels, so make sure you guys are subscribed to my second channel. The link is in the description. And yeah, I wanted to really get into Soul Purpose, which has been the most talked about video of the three I put out, because a lot of people are confused with it. And as I said, it's one of those things where if you watched all the videos, especially Saturn Satan series and just a lot of the esoteric videos I've been putting out on spirituality, and if you're a real researcher, then it's going to make sense to you. So I know a lot of people looking at it like, seems like, oh, you're giving up. There's no hope. What's the point? What's the purpose? And that's the thing. Like, you have to get it. It's not, you have to listen. You have to really read between the lines. It's right there. But as I said in the video, I don't expect everybody to get it. There is an underlying understanding to the videos, and a lot of people have gotten it because I spoke to these people and we talked through emails. But I understand that a lot of you guys are confused and you have your ideas or thoughts of what you think I might be doing after all these years me putting out the information I put out. Some people still think that I'm an agent. I'm trying to steer you guys into the wrong direction and put you in the understanding of we should do nothing but just submit to the system. And this is the matrix. And you have to understand, like you said in the matrix, that everybody's still plugged in. They still attached to it. So just because, we look at them as people, we have to understand that everybody that's not us is potentially an agent. They still plugged in. And you yourself may be, and you may not understand. That's a deeper point that some of you are going to get, some of you will not. You're a problem for yourself. And it's because you choose to not really understand, because you don't want to do the research, or you don't want to read or watch or whatever it is. You come to your understanding based upon what you feel. And a lot of people don't understand that what they feel and their understanding comes from social media, or comes from mainstream media or TV. This stuff has been programmed into you to form conclusions that they want you to come to. That's completely wrong. You have to have a certain mind to get it. I've been trying to put you guys in that right mindset for, over a decade now. So yeah, I'm not shocked that the people who got it have gotten it. I've given you everything. If you've seen it all, it's not even a problem. Main thing, nothing else makes sense. Nothing else. What I put there fits. It fits. And it's not me saying to conform to the system. It's for you to understand and then make your own choice based upon that. Because let's keep it real. What can you do? Why would they spend their entire existence trying to fight for an agenda that they're never going to live to see come true? And it's the same question I posed to you guys. Why would you spend your entire life fighting for something that you know is not going to come true? And then you will look at it and probably say, well, because it's the right thing to do, it's for the good, and so on and so forth. But then you're not doing your research if you think this way. You're not seeing where we are, and that time has passed, and it's not possible to take it any further than where it is. And then there's the point that I gave you, then maybe it's supposed to go that way. And that's the part that you guys are finding really hard to accept. As I said in the video, many of you are not going to accept what I have to say. It's up to you. Yeah, it's making sense, right? You understand. You have to make that choice. And then there's more to it. So like I said, shout out to the people who got it and who understand. I've got some angry emails from people. Even on Instagram, people in the comment section. Oh, well, how can you just say this and that? And we're supposed to just this. And they trying to take it back to slavery and say, oh, well, we chose slavery. And it's much deeper than you're going to understand. There's a lot to really grasp for you to get it. So again, with Soul Purpose, the way I put the video, which I want to give you guys a preview in this video in a second, just to really contemplate those questions and really think about what's being said and draw your own conclusion from that. Like I said, I give you my research. It's all I can do. And it's up to you to go from there, accept what I got to say, or, do what you feel is best or what have you. At the end of the day, it's not going to change. It's not going to change anything. You got to look at it that way because it's fact. It's fact. So if you believe some type of super spooky hocus pocus shit's going to happen, you might as well be Christian. If you don't want to understand what that's about and what it's saying and why these Christians is screaming end time prophecy and Bible prophecy, and it's like, oh shit, that's what it's looking like. You need to know what that means and how that fits into what we're seeing. We've been warned so much. I put a video on my Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, look at the first video that I put on there. The video that's up now, I just put it up. That's a warning. That's something we got back in, 2009 or what have you. We got a lot of them. We just don't remember, and it's deep. But I want you guys to take a look and just think about what's being said and really draw your own conclusion. And then, like I said, if you've been following the videos, if you've been watching, it's going to make sense. But in no way am I saying you need to just conform to the system and follow and just fall on your face and just give up and just not do nothing, or trying to make it look like, I'm trying to convert you to an ideology that's just in some type of mode of giving up. That's not the case. It's deeper than that. So no matter what, you still got to get you right. So focus on that first, and everything else is just, it'll come. But no matter what, whether you believe me or not, you still have to get you correct, period. So take that and do what you got to do with it. But nothing you do can make you ignore these facts. It's just that simple. It's something deep you have to think about. And then when you follow this thinking, and then you look at, everything we've been seeing, look at the world, especially the entertainment industry, it fits. It's going to start to make sense because there's questions you got to ask yourself. If this is that, then why is this? And I told you that's how I do my research. This has to be this way because this is that. There's no way this can be this because why would they do that? It's just a way of looking at things. And we have, we moved away from it because everybody is just in this, spiritual, holy, hocus pocus thinking, stuff is going to happen. It would have happened already. It would have happened. They're like everybody's ancestors, and that, like, you have to think about what you're saying. Where are they? You think if they was there, up there somewhere in the trees or what have you, they would be seeing what's going on and letting it happen? If there was some power, in the physical, y'all not grasping what's taking place and how this is what it is. It's deep, but we're in a line. We're in a line that they put us in, and we've been, following it for a long time. And those of us who have stepped out of it, and we're just looking at the people that's still alive, going in that same direction. You step out of it and you look at these people and you see what they're doing. If you step out, you become an observer and you look at what's going on. And then if you choose to step back in that line, you can't forget what you seen when you stepped out. If you understand what I'm saying, you seen it. So don't step back in line and then act like you didn't see what you saw. You seen it. You understand what's going on. You understand what's taking place. Don't overthink it. It is what it is. Like I said, if you see my videos, it all makes sense. So think about it. Think about what you got to do to get yourself in the right mindset, which is getting this knowledge, understanding esoterically what they're talking about, especially when it comes to the biblical sense and how it fits into everything else. So, just to make this a little bit more understandable, because I probably lost a few people. In this part, I want to show you, you have to ask yourself the question, 1, purpose. So as I said, if we have a purpose, What would be a point of purpose? You know, if we're here to do something, we're here to do something to benefit the physical. That is something that doesn't make any sense when the physical is not going to last forever. So why would we dedicate years for something that's only temporary? It don't fit. So what we live less than 100 years on average. What can you accomplish in those 100 years if you look at our society and you're old and you can't do anything by the time you retire? What do you leave behind? And then now y'all so conformed to this world. Y'all looking at it, well, I leave behind a house and clothes and money for my kids. And so they can do the same thing you just did, which is waste, experience. That's not your purpose. Oh, I was born to be a teacher. I was born a rapper. That's not your purpose. You have to think about this society was created. It was built, and that's recent. So what was they doing back then? What was those primitive people who we don't know their names? We have found homes and huts and caves, and it's people that lived down there, generations of people that lived there, born, lived, died. For what? For what? And this is for thousands of years. For what? There's no TV. There's nothing going on. There's no football or no law school or anything like that. It's people just living. And then they're gone. So if you want to get into this whole creator thing and purpose, what was their purpose? What was they created for? It couldn't be to benefit the physical. It had to be for them to benefit the spiritual. And this is why when we go look at the ancient world, that's all they talked about. They wasn't worried about the physical, period. And then things change, and they change for a reason. So we go from this spiritual civilization that we see all in the ancient world to now white man comes, takes over, and we're in the material. Everything's materialistic. And then now there's this whole dualistic reality that we're facing with the material and the spiritual, and we have to balance. And it's deep. But take a look at this clip and, really get into this video. For those of you who have seen it, it's deep. But like I said, if you've seen the Saturn Saint series, if you've seen a lot of the esoteric videos, if you've been watching, then this is going to make a lot of sense. You'll get it. Like I said, it's deep, and I don't expect everybody to understand it, but I'm going to come off it for a while because I have other videos coming out that's going to be on YouTube that I really want to reiterate a lot of things for the new people that's been coming, because I have a lot of videos and I want to really touch up on a lot of subjects, get into a lot of stuff that we talked about before, but really go in a little bit deeper. So, take a look. Let's think about, why we're here. That's the main question. Why are we here? What is our purpose? And everybody thinks that, we have this purpose on earth and that we are supposed to be here for a reason, like a reason that benefits society. So people say, I was born to be a cop. I was born to be an actor. I was born to play ball, so on and so forth. Talked about this before. So human beings have been on this planet long before societies was invented, long before any of these things was invented. So obviously that's not the case. So we have to look at it. We have to look at it and say, we wasn't put here to benefit, the world or benefit society and so on and so forth, things that existed after man. So the average person lives between, 65 and 110 years. Most people drop out in the 70s, 80s. But on average, we see that lifespan between 65 and 110 years. You got a few people that's over 110 living right now. So in that range, that's a short amount of time. It's short. And we live that long for what? So our bodies are temporary. So what benefit do we have, or why would you create such a complex thing to exist for a short amount of time? So we have to understand we wasn't created to benefit our flesh or to benefit the planet, because the planet has existed long before human beings. It's been here. The animals have been here, and they existed long before us. So we wasn't put here to benefit the planet or benefit those beings. So clearly we were obviously put here to benefit our soul, our spirit. It's not about this life. It's about the afterlife. And our time here is here to benefit that. So you have to really start to think and contemplate what we're seeing and everything that's been taking place around us and how we fit in. Because when you start to study that, it's like human beings, we don't fit in, and the planet would be just fine without us. We know our bodies are just vehicles for our souls, and that these are temporary, and that there's a symbiotic relationship between the soul and the body. And that's something that we can prove, this energy that we have. And we're here and we're trying to figure this thing all out. But there's so much history to get into when we start to look into it. But the biggest thing is, when you start to understand the brain, the mind, how complex we are as human beings, all this complexity for what? To benefit what? To build stuff that is temporary for us to go on and on. To what end? For what meaning? What purpose? What's the point? Understand, we're going to get into this heavy in this video to get you really into the understanding of us being here and to answer a lot of obvious questions, but to really make you guys understand that, full circle, that video and how depressing it is, sad, there's a bigger part to it that you got to understand and just think about. Either you're going to accept it or you won't. And if you accept it, then you'll feel a lot better about going forward. If you don't accept it, then, you're going to have a lot more questions. But you'll get to a point when studying all this where you're going to know. You're going to know. And all you really, once you know, you're going to be looking for validation. You ever have a feeling that something is wrong or something is going on? Women have that intuition. Something is wrong. You're not supposed to act on it until you can confirm it. And then when you confirm it, you was like, I knew it all along. I can feel it. You're going to feel that, but you're going to want confirmation. But everything around you is going to be the confirmation. You're going to be seeing it and you're going to be like, okay, it makes sense. You understand, like it's going to make a lot of sense. And you won't be able to really act on it, but just accept it. So you'll understand in a minute. But looking at that fact, complex creation, they created us, and it's like, for what? For what? What are we here for? There have been generations of people that lived, hundreds, thousands of years ago. They came, they lived, they died, and for what? What was the point? And it's like that whole, if a tree falls in the forest questions. Tree falls in the forest, nobody's around to see it, doesn't make a sound. And it's like that question is posed for you to get an understanding of reality on a physical level. Just understanding that, well, if nobody is there to witness it, did it actually happen? Common sense to say, well, if we know that it fell, then it happened. Of course it made a sound, but did it make a sound? And to humans, no, but you got to think about insects or animals that could have been around and heard it. But if no human heard it, did it actually happen? Can we prove that it happened? Can we prove that it made a sound? So we get into that common sense thing. And that's the whole thing. And it's like, you got to look at it. It's like court. No body, no crime. If you think somebody did something, even though stuff looks that way, you can't prove it. It never happened. So when we look at these civilizations and these people that existed, we know they existed, and we find civilizations and ruins and stuff of people, but we don't find the people. A lot of times we don't find bones or barrels, burial grounds or anything like that. Did those people even exist? Did they even exist? So it's like all this history that we see, people living and dying and, generations, and they come and go. They leave no footprint, no major benefit or contribution to the planet. And the whole thing is, what was their purpose? So before we think about the glitz and glamour, Hollywood and, basketball and everything like that, remember, hundreds of thousands of years, people lived like that. For what point? Why? So it's where the evolutionists get into evolution. And it's one of the reasons why they believe in evolution, because they look at it and they say, well, it had to be evolution. There's no purpose. We just evolved from such and such. And we're just here the same way the animals was here before us. And you look at that and it makes sense, but you have to think about creation and purpose. And we know that's not true when you think about the complexity. There is a far gap from the evolution of, cyanobacteria, which is what they believe, crawled out of the primordial soup, they call it, and dinosaurs and so on. It's a far separation from that development. And then our brain, which is super complex. And then the big one, consciousness. Our consciousness, which is far superior than anything that ever existed on this planet, animal-wise, that we can prove. And that's the key. That's the one. Because we reign supreme and consciousness, and that was given to us for a reason, which we'll get into. So you can't escape that. That's the one. The consciousness part of us is what separates us. And that's something that we would have found in other animals if it was something that was just passed down, or developed over time. And then, the main thing is the genome sequencing of the human body, where we see we make up a bunch of these animals. We have a bunch of the, genes within us. So this is clear creation, not evolution. So we think about those people living thousands of years ago, generations of people came and went. And it's like the only thing that makes sense is if their life was put there to benefit them spiritually. It was a spiritual information or knowledge or something they had to develop, as to the purpose of them being there, because nothing else fits. So we fast forward, we think about, religion, the Bible and everything like that. And it's like you had societies of people that were living this spiritual life. Everything was about spirituality. And we look at how these people live, out in the wilderness. They didn't try to build metropolises and major cities, anything like that. They were spiritual people, in tune with nature, in tune with the animals, in tune with reality. And that's how they live. A Bible believer, a Christian, in order for you to truly follow Christianity, you couldn't live in a city. And as I said many times before, the Bible is the key. It is the greatest book ever written. There's so much in it. And it blows your mind when you understand it. And it's like, why would they give us this book? Because the deeper you get into it, the more you understand. It's there. It's everything they gave us. They put it in that book. It's an amazing book, which by now, when you start comparing it and getting into it, you're starting to see it. You're starting to understand that, wow, this is really it. And it starts to really connect the dots and bring you into the understanding of why religion, why Christianity, why is this stuff dominating? Why has it been here? Even though we can clearly see it's obvious bullshit. What's the point? And when you understand it, then you see it. So the Bible is the key. It's been telling us since the beginning, stay out of the world, stay away from this stuff. It's telling you the cities and stuff, the places we live in at is bad. Don't be there. And this is even before we had cities. So again, when I say it's the agenda of the elite, which is going to be clear, later on, but it's what they knew. The crazy part is, again, it was written so long ago and stuff happening. So don't be with the world. Don't be in the world. Don't do what the world is doing. Stay away from this stuff. Why? What's the point? Old Testament is telling you to follow God. New Testament is telling you to follow Jesus. Same being, God and Jesus. It's telling you to follow Jesus. Don't lose faith. Don't get caught up in this shit. Don't lose faith. Follow Jesus. He is the way, so on and so forth. Jesus is you. Jesus is you. God is you. And all this stuff is telling us it's for what? It's to prepare us for what? The afterlife. So again, if you follow this stuff, then you wouldn't be living in cities. You wouldn't be sinning. You will be living separate from everything that's going on. And you will be walking that way that Jesus wanted you to walk. And it's like, well, can't nobody do that? What is it really talking about? But then you begin to understand what it's talking about. It's talking about exactly that, but in a different way. So you have to understand that this city or this worldly stuff is internal. And it's to prepare you for the afterlife. Everything is preparing you for the afterlife. It's not getting you caught up in this stuff, but it's metaphorical. It's a parable about you. So when you read, this is Matthew 6:19-21. It says, do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Hebrews 13:5. Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. 1 John 2:16. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride of life is not from the Father, but is from the world. So even if you are a Bible believer, if you believe in all this stuff, the Bible is telling you clearly. It's saying, I didn't put this stuff here. And excuse me if you hear noise in the background. I think they redoing the pool. The Bible is telling you, God's saying, I didn't put this stuff here. This is not from me. It's not from God for you to consume or for you to have, and all this stuff you're prideful of and everything that you're doing, that's from the world. I didn't put this stuff here for you. This stuff is not your purpose, basically. It's not the point, the reason that you are here. So you're supposed to be following what I told you to follow, which is basically you, when you understand esoterically what it's talking about. All this prideful stuff and this money and everything that we bragging, the stuff that we are so happy about doing, the accomplishments, so to speak, it's not what we're here for. So when people say, this is my purpose, I was born to do this, and this is what I was put here for, or God put me here for this, Bible's telling you clear as day, no, I didn't. This is not what you're here for. So everything that we're told to do is a spiritual thing. It's to benefit us spiritually. Colossians 3:2 says, set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. 2 Corinthians 4:18, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. Think about that. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. And think about that. So this unseen world that we can't see, this so-called heaven, the afterlife, we can't see it. Anything that we can see is physical. It has an expiration date. It's going to expire. It's not going to be here forever. The things that we can't see will be here forever. It has always been. We can't see our souls. But when we dream, we see what we see. We can see our entire room. We can see the material things. And what it's trying to get you to understand and entice you when it's talking about have your mansions and your reward is in heaven. That's the thing. Anything you could possibly want in this life, the afterlife, you can get. Now, of course, that sounds like what the white man been telling us for a long time. Oh, stay a slave and do what we tell you. When you die, you can have everything. Understand? So to us, we hear that and we want to completely put that out of our minds. But it's proven to us when we dream. Everything is there. And it's not, we're supposed to slave our entire physical life to benefit the white man in his physical life so that we can have a good afterlife. But it's a deep point to this that we'll get into. So think about it. And you have this life and you're supposed to put this work in to benefit your spirit and your soul. And everything that's here is a trap. It's to keep you away from doing that. It's to keep you blinded from your purpose, which is the understanding that you have no purpose, that you're supposed to benefit you in a spiritual way and not in a physical way, because the physical is temporary. You understand? You wouldn't spend the time, why would you spend your entire life building something that you know is going to fall and then miss out on a bunch of other stuff? You spending your entire life building something that is not going to exist. And we say, okay, well, no, I do this I'm going to pass something down to my kids, something that's physical. You're dead and gone, and you wasted your life trying to pass something to somebody that's going to be dead and gone as well. And it's still something that's not going to last forever because our mindset is still focused on the physical. We were spiritual beings, understanding spirituality, but that was a problem, which we'll get into. And we are caught up in the spirit, the whole physicality, not the spirituality part of our existence. So think about it. When you go to church, the sermon is always something physical. They toss in there, stuff they got to do, spiritual stuff. But you can't be having people come to your church and have them praising their death. You understand how depressing would that shit be? Every time you come to church, the sermon is about afterlife, death, 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 death. But that's really what he's talking about. But he's not really like that. That's the premise. But he don't want to really touch on it too much because you're not going to want to come and hear that shit. So the sermon is prepared to have to do with your physical life and things you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to get, blessings and, sow your, plant your seeds and reap your harvest and so on and so forth, giving. So he's coming there and the sermon always has to do with money. It has to do with physical stuff. Oh, well, your boss at your job and people at work, and this is why such and such don't like you, and you hating. Like, they're literally in church these days talking about people hating on you. It ain't even about, the Bible no more. It ain't about really teaching what it is. They talking about people hating on you at work. And, some churches will get into, Black entrepreneurial things, like things that you need to do to grow and be successful. Someone will talk about that. But then you can't really get into that as a preacher because it's worldly stuff. You can't be talking too much about money, which they do. And they got everybody in church fooled and thinking that the reason why you're not blessed is because you're sinning, which they all know they are. So it's instant guilt right there. Well, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. Let me, I'm guilty. Let me give God some money. Or let me, hand some money and hopefully God will bless me and forgive me for not being the Christian I'm supposed to be. And that's why the sermon is geared around material things and all that. So they can make you feel guilty about your lifestyle and the way that you live in. You knowing you're not living according to what the Bible says is right before God. So you put money in the plate. And we know most people want to put money in the collection plate to be seen. They want people to see them put that 50 or that 20 in a collection plate. They want to come up there and drop something off to the preacher or drop something off. Because some churches just leave a basket in the corner. They got tired of passing it around. Now, when you have it in the corner, that's different. Because when they have we used to have at Little Rock Tabernacle Baptist Church, where I went to church. They would put it in the corner or put it out there in the front altar. And we would sing this song and we would walk around the church singing this song like in a train. And then you're supposed to drop money in the plate if you got money. Everybody watching you and see who's going to drop money. That's the whole thing. And they know the spotlight is on you when you get to that collection plate. And either you're going to drop money or you're not. Smart, genius shit when you think about it, because people don't want to be seen walking past that plate singing about God. So everybody would drop that money. Some people just drop an envelope and stuff like that. But it was a big deal. But people want to be seen. They want to be seen doing it. And that's the thing. It's about being seen and showboat. And life is a lot about that. A lot of that stuff is in our daily lives and how people live, and they want to be seen, which is understandable. It's a human thing. But any real preacher will be living the way they lived in the Bible. Any real preacher will be teaching his congregation to get out of the city, to get out of the hood, so to speak. And this is all gone somewhere. So stick with me. It's gone somewhere. It's the point to all this. So any real preacher will be telling you, this is what we need to do. Let's get our congregation together. Let's move out of this city. Let's go somewhere. And you should basically be living the way the Hebrews was living in the Old Testament. The Israelites. Remember, the Israelites stayed together. They had their civilization and they traveled together. They did stuff together. They had the army. They fought. They lived together under those laws of God, the way it's supposed to be. And what happened when they came in contact with another civilization that was corrupt? They got corrupted. And then what happened? God would come in there and kill those people that was corrupt and weed them out of the civilization and throw them out. Now, we will look at that. We call them cults, a cult. And we've seen with the Mormons and other places like that and how they live. And we look at these people like psycho, crazy folks. But if the religion is real, which of course there's not, but if it was real, that's how you're supposed to be living. And any preacher would know that when you got these people leaving, from the church, outside of the community and going into the world, what they bring it back to the church, they ain't even supposed to be there. They ain't supposed to be there, according to the Bible. It's right in the book. They're not supposed to be there. This is why Jesus didn't like preachers. This is why it doesn't really boast preachers up, if you understand, because preachers don't let you do what you're supposed to do, and they don't do it themselves. So again, as I said before, how can you give money to a man that says he speak to God? And he's telling you that you got to pray and get blessings and stuff from God, but he's asking you to bless him with your money that you need to get the blessings that you want to ask God for. It don't make sense, but people go and still do that bullshit. So this is why the Bible says we are born in sin. We are born sinners. Preacher tells you you're born in sin. You're a sinner. Why? Because you're born in a city. You're born in the civilization of sinners. Your mom probably had you out of wedlock. She probably was sinning when she had you. Then you're going to be born in the system of sin and raised by sinners doing sinful things. And it's going to be sin surrounding you from birth. So then it's like you're raised corrupted in this sin, not doing what you're supposed to do and living the way you're supposed to live according to the Bible. And this is why it's sadness. And we know that our parents, of course, lived before us. They wasn't living right. And they lived their lives based on, materials. And you need materials to survive. And there's no way you can survive without becoming materialistic because you need these things to survive. So if you need these things to survive and they are essential, then that's going to be your focus, is these materials. So it's one of the reasons why Buddhism say, get rid of this stuff. And the Bible is telling you, don't get consumed by this stuff. You got everything you need with you. Go out and make a life for yourself. But we wasn't taught this. This isn't primitive times and how people used to live. This is, we evolved, and this is going to make a lot of sense. It's going to make a lot of sense because you have to understand what's the point of this. Think about it. Everything that's here now, everything, including the mindset, everything that's here now, do you think we couldn't have had it 10,000 years ago? Think about that. You don't think everything that exists, we talking about we're in the future. You don't think we could have had this shit 100,000 years ago? It's the same stuff. Ain't nothing new come off a plane from another planet. This stuff been here. We know what it's made of. We can find the minerals and the stuff in the fucking ground. What was missing? There was no desire to do this stuff. So what happened? And we're going to say the white man, but it's more deeper than that. But when we look at the Bible and then we look at the way preachers preach, we can see that they don't read their Bible. It's no fucking way they read their Bible. No way. There's no way a preacher reads his Bible the way he wouldn't be in his church. His church would be somewhere out of the city. And what's the excuse? Because he's been taught the Bible wrong. He's been taught the Bible a way to teach it to us, which is the completely wrong way. But if he read the Bible, if he read it himself, he would know that you can't just pray and ask for forgiveness. Hebrews 10:26 says you can't. It's not, you can't just keep sinning. And we have this everybody's walking around believing this. This is a popular belief. Oh, I see memes. Or you can just keep on asking for forgiveness and you're going to get in. When it says there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins if you know you sinned. Now, if you sinned and you did wrong unknowingly, you can ask for forgiveness. There's different ways, but it's all bullshit, in the first place. But according to their book, they ain't supposed to be doing it. They ain't supposed to be living the way they're living in sin and so on and so forth. And you have so many fake Christians out there and they bragging. Like I said, they only do this stuff to get recognition, which you're not supposed to be doing. It's only to get recognition. Put that money in the plate to get recognition or because you feel guilt. It's like, if you really love God, like people bullshitting, putting posts all over social media, kissing God ass and God this and I love the Lord. And you in a place of sin doing this. Look at I've seen so many videos of people, because there's a difference between real, unconditional, good faith and having a good heart and love versus I'm just doing shit for the gram and doing shit for the camera. So you see these people, if you really cared about somebody, why would you go into a poor neighborhood or go to a bunch of homeless people on camera and hand them money? You on camera counting out money, handing them money. Who do you want to see? You want somebody to see that's going to give you your money back? What proof you need? Like, why does that need validation? Either you did it or you didn't, but why would you want validation for that if you did it for a good reason? And we're so messed up in the world right now. People would just say, well, at least he gave him the money, but he only gave him the money because he has the money. There's a difference between that's in the Bible as well, as God talked about the people tithing and was saying, Jesus talked about the people tithing and was saying they give because they have it. But then you had the poor woman give her last that she gave and she doesn't have it. And it's giving you that hint in the Bible right there that this is the way it's supposed to be done. So people who doing shit for the cameras and doing shit to get recognition and praising God all openly out in the open, it's not even supposed to be done. And the Bible tells you this. So it says here, it's going to blow your mind. It's Matthew 6:1-7. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them. For then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you. That means put that camera down, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. You heard that before. So that your giving may be in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by others. Truly, I say to you, they have received their reward, which is what they have when you understand. But when you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And when you pray, do not heap up empty praises as the Gentiles do, for they think they will be heard for their many words. I pointed this out to so many Christians and it blows their mind. And then what do you say after that? What do you say? Because you're doing this shit and God is telling you, I don't want you to do this. So think about this. What does this kill? Fucking entire church. Where you have people holding hands and praying. Multiple people, thousands, hundreds, praying together out loud, there to be seen. And you have to understand what all that means, because you're corrupting yourself when you do something, to be seen or heard. There is no reward for that. You're doing it to be seen or heard. The fact that you can do it is your reward. The fact that you got seen and heard, you got what you wanted. That's your reward. If you're doing something or blessing somebody to get something, then you pull them to the side. You do it in secret. You don't tell everybody what you do. People will post pictures of them praying. Like, come on. I don't get no much more fraud than that. Something that's so personal. You want to post a picture of yourself doing it. But you have to understand what it's saying. The point of the verses. What does it really talk about esoterically? So what is it saying? It's talking about going into your room and close the door. Close the door. Pray in secret. Prayer is meditation. Plain and simple. You're going to go and close your eyes and you're going to pray in secret. You're going to meditate. It's talking about meditation. That's the only way to go within. And anything that you got and you receive, any blessings that you got, if a person came up to you and gave you $100 and just said, here, $100, what are you going to do? Thank you. Game over. You thank them. It's the end of the story. You're not going to take the money, go home, close the door, get on your knees and close your eyes and thank God for the $100 that you just thanked the guy who gave it to you. That don't make sense, So you would thank that person. Anything that you got, that you put your hard work into, your effort into, you're going to thank yourself. You made it happen. And you're going to thank, your consciousness, the consciousness that's the reason why you're here. So like I said, some people won't understand that. Some people won't. And it's a lot deeper than what's here. So, I know a lot of you guys had questions. And like I said, I put out the follow the 15 for a reason, just to get you in understanding of what's, up to date stuff as far as, that word, that C word. Those of you who have, don't in no way think, this is about conforming to anything or, trying to give the white man all this glory or savior and everything, like whatever these, stupid shit people have been saying or people thinking. Nothing to do with that. If you're still on black and white, you lost. It's completely, it makes sense, of course, now for the physical, but it's not about that. It's deeper than that. If you can't tell that by now, I don't know what else to tell you. It's deeper than that. Know who you are. It doesn't matter about that shit. It's just don't matter. There's something that they're using to separate us, to control us. It doesn't matter, but it matters. But it doesn't matter in the sense to where it's something you should be putting everything into as far as, holding you back or distraction wise. It's just something you need to be conscious about and know that it exists. It's just that simple. So, you go about your business. It is what it is. It's here, but don't get caught up in that. And everybody want to be so caught up in, you're a sellout, white man, this, nothing. It's just, in the grand scheme of things, it's stupid. And this stuff is done for a reason. And that's the point of the video, to get you to understand those reasons and why things seem this way and look that way. But in no way do I want anybody to conform to this system or to not fight or to not educate and wake people up to just sit back and just be like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. Because we're going to go, regardless of what any of us try to do, we're gone with the agenda. There was no way around that. And if it was, then that's what I would be pushing. But I already came to that conclusion. I already went there, and I was with the fight. And that's why we get these militant brothers out there, and they see everything and they want to fight. It's hopeless. It's no point. It's deeper than that. So many of you will understand, many of you won't. But thanks to those who do, who get it. But I'll see you guys next video. And yeah, make sure you guys check out these videos. Get caught up with Follow the 15, and go back and get caught up with a lot of those videos. So see you next video.